A spectrum of colors. She was gay. That thought whirled in my mind as Mia Thompson stood confidently at the front of our art class in the quaint New Orleans studio. I nearly dropped my sketchpad as that exhilarating, electrifying realization washed over me. Mia had this intense energy, an aura about her that demanded attention. It was impossible not to be drawn in. A few moments earlier, the class had been filled with the sound of brushes against canvas and the soft murmur of creativity. Then, the door swung open dramatically. Enter Charlotte Green, 5 minutes late as usual, complexion as flushed as a ripe tomato. Ugh, look who's here. Try not to faint, ladies, she announced, arrogance dripping from every word. Everyone in the room rolled their eyes. This was Charlotte's routine. Hey, how's it feel to be irrelevant, Charlotte, quipped one student with a smirk, earning light chuckles from their peers. Miss Green, enough, our professor, Mrs. Hawkins, intervened, adjusting her oversized glasses. She was a veteran art teacher with a penchant for colorful scarves and outlandish earrings. Her patience with Charlotte was predictably thin. Charlotte huffed but settled into her seat, with a haughty toss of her hair. Little did she know her dramatic entrance was about to be overshadowed. My eyes drifted toward Mia again. Today's ensemble, a green and blue plaid shirt over a vintage band tee, dark skinny jeans, and bright yellow sneakers, had me weak in the knees. With her tousled, shoulder-length hair and sharp features, she seemed to embody a blend of punk and artistic flair that had me mesmerized for months. A moment of blessed tranquility enveloped the room as we resumed our projects, painting and sketching in varying shades of creativity. It was a relief, the tension eased without Charlotte's incessant pickiness in the air for now. Then came Charlotte's inevitable interruption, shattering the illusion of peace. Can you imagine what would happen if this place got taken over by the dykes? Talk about a tragedy. I winced, my heart racing as I looked around. Some students shot her glares while others avoided the situation entirely. My fingers clenched around my brush, anger flaring within me. Mia, however, was unfazed. She stood tall, dropping her brush with an audible thud. Wow, Charlotte, how sad that you feel the need to belittle others, she retorted, a cool smirk creeping across her face. Charlotte's expression morphed into one of disbelief. Excuse me. Mia straightened up, her voice even, you clearly have some unresolved issues with yourself. Maybe that's why you think being mean is a personality trait. Please spare me your pseudopsychology. Like anyone cares. Charlotte shot back, but there was less bite in her voice. Maybe Mia's confidence was rattling her. Oh darling, I think you care more than you let on, Mia shot back, her eyes sparkling with defiance. The class erupted into laughter. Mia's jawline was still sharp as a razor, yet the laughter that rolled out of her felt like sunshine in the studio, as bright as her personality. I couldn't help but feel a rush of warmth, a crush blooming in me like a flower unfurling in the sun. Wow, that was too good, I whispered under my breath, my heart racing. I wanted to talk to her, be near her. I wanted to impress her. And in that moment, something shifted within me. I was hopeful. That hope swelled as the day dragged on, and finally, I found myself driving down tree-draped streets, my heart bubbling with excitement as I recalled Mia's fiery retort. On loop, I blasted Girls Like Girls by Hayley Kiyoko. The windows were rolled down, my head bobbing to the beat. I was ecstatic, feeling like the world was on my side. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw her car, parked next to me, Mia's bright red hatchback. Mia! I gasped, looking over at her. She was just reaching for her door. Her hair danced in the air as she caught my eye and smiled. That's an awesome song, she called out with infectious enthusiasm. Thanks. I squeaked. You, like Hayley Kiyoko. Absolutely. Can't resist a good lesbian anthem, she grinned, her braces gleaming in the late afternoon sun. I couldn't tell if I was dreaming or high on the vibe radiating from her. Yeah, me too. I just can't seem to stop thinking about it lately. Same here. I love that. She waved and turned to grab her things, the sunlight framing her perfectly. See you tomorrow. Definitely. I could barely contain my excitement as she pulled away. Later that night, I found myself scrolling through my sketchbook, doodling a very prominent image of Mia with a rainbow flag wrapped delicately around her neck. It felt authentic, so I decided to write her a note, the kind that revealed my innermost thoughts and dreams, hoping to charm her as much as she charmed me. Dear Mia. You're stunning just the way you are, and I'd love to get to know you better. Let's embrace the colors of our spectrum together. Yours, Samantha. I tucked the note in an envelope along with my number. The next day, I arrived at the studio early, heart fluttering as I clutched my note. My breath caught when I saw her already painting. Turns out her work was just as brilliant as she was. Good morning, Mia. I exclaimed, nerves buzzing at my fingertips. Hey, Sam. Ready to create some magic today? She beamed. As we began chatting and painting side by side, I summoned what courage I had and slid the envelope onto her desk. Here. Just something I wanted you to have. Her brow shot up in surprise. What's this? Open it. You might like it. With trembling fingers, she pulled out the note and read it silently. A smile spread across her face as she looked up at me. You're seriously the sweetest. I was hoping it would inspire you to hang out sometime. I stumbled. Absolutely, she replied enthusiastically. A little color outside the lines doesn't sound too bad. And from that moment on, Mia and I shared our creativity while circling the vibrant art scene, growing closer not just as friends, but as two women exploring the exhilarating, colorful unknown. As I'd hoped, we eventually adopted a couple of cats, but more importantly, we adopted each other's dreams, hearts, and eccentricities along the way. New Orleans, with its unending warmth, had just authored the beginning of our story, a story painted in the colors of love and art, our very own spectrum. Continue the story. As weeks turned into months, Mia and I became inseparable. Our days were filled with laughter, late-night sketching sessions, and endless conversations about art, music, and life. We explored every nook and cranny of New Orleans together, from vibrant street festivals to cozy cafes with the best beignets in the city. Every Sunday, we made a ritual of visiting the local farmers' market, our hands swinging together as we walked through colorful stalls. I loved watching Mia's eyes light up at the fresh produce and homemade crafts. She was so animated, so full of life, it was contagious. One sunny afternoon at the market, we stumbled upon a booth selling plant cuttings. These could liven up your apartment, Mia exclaimed, her eyes sparkling as she picked up an interesting little succulent. What do you think? Should we decorate? I chuckled, thinking about how my sparse space could use any bit of livening up. Definitely. I could use some green to offset all the black and white in my life, I joked, referencing my typical minimalist aesthetic. Let's go wild, she laughed, her enthusiasm infectious. As we browsed for more plants, Mia stopped abruptly and turned to me, her expression serious yet playful. Okay, but here's the deal. If we're getting plants, we also need to give them names. They need personalities, Sam. It's only fair. I laughed, but it tinged with the warmth of something deeper. You're on. I'll name the succulent Spike because he looks tough. Mia grinned, then mine's Princess Petal, she deserves all the love. I loved how she could turn something as simple as plant shopping into a whimsical adventure, making even the mundane feel special. After picking out our plants and a few quirky pots, we headed back to my apartment. We spent the evening planting our new friends, fingers smudged with dirt and laughter filling the air. I found myself stealing glances at Mia, captivated by how she concentrated, her tongue slightly poking out in concentration. As I watched her, a wave of affection washed over me. We had shared so much already, but my feelings for her were blossoming like the vibrant flowers we were potting. Once we finished, we set the pots on my windowsill, admiring our handiwork. Look at our little garden, Mia said, beaming. It makes my home feel alive, I replied, my voice barely above a whisper as I turned to her. Just like us, she said softly, and the room fell into a comfortable silence charged with unspoken words. That night, as I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my heart raced with what felt like an impulse to cross a line. I thought about the us that was forming, the closeness we shared. The idea of kissing her, of being more than just friends, danced in my mind, but I hesitated, nerves unraveling in my stomach. The next day, I decided to take the plunge. Given my passion for art, I would create something special, a piece depicting us, a vision of what our relationship had blossomed into. I tucked a scrap of canvas under my arm, grabbing my brushes and colors, planning to surprise her. After class, I invited Mia over to my apartment under the ruse of finishing up my artwork. When she arrived, I tried to act casually, but I couldn't hide my excitement. "What's the secret?" Mia inquired, peering at my easel, which was intentionally turned away from her. "Just a little something I've been working on," I said, attempting nonchalance. She narrowed her eyes playfully. "You know I can't resist a surprise." "Show me." All right. But promise not to laugh," I replied, dramatically unveiling the canvas. Mia gasped, eyes wide as she took in the colorful painting that captured a sunny day in the park with two figures in the foreground, a brown-haired girl with a plaid shirt, and a blonde-haired girl wearing yellow sneakers, both surrounded by vibrant flowers and plants. "Oh my God, Sam, this is amazing. We look like we're bursting with color." "It's us," I said, my heart racing under her intense gaze. "It represents how much you've brought into my life, how vibrant everything has become since we met." Her expression shifted, becoming soft and sincere. "Wow, I love it. It's beautiful." She moved closer to the painting, fingers brushing the canvas delicately as if afraid to disturb its beauty. "Mia, there's more," I continued, feeling my pulse quicken. "I want to take this further. I just don't know how to say it." With a deep breath, I stepped closer, heart pounding. "I have feelings for you, and I don't mean just friendship. I want us to be more. I want to explore what this could be." For a moment, Mia stood frozen, eyes wide as if absorbing my words. Then her face broke into a smile so warm it felt like sunshine. "You have no idea how happy that makes me to hear you say that." Without thinking, I took another step, leaning in closer. "Really? Really," she whispered, and before I could process what was happening, she leaned in and pressed her lips against mine. It was soft, tentative at first, but as we melted into the kiss, it deepened, igniting a fire within me. It was electric, filled with the unspoken emotions we'd hidden until this moment. I tangled my fingers in her hair, pulling her closer, feeling a mixture of joy and relief wash over me. When we finally parted, both breathless, Mia grinned at me with that beautiful smile of hers. "I've wanted to do that since the day we met." "Me too," I confessed, the weight of my fears lifting. There was a beautiful possibility ahead of us, stretching out into the future like the vibrant city skyline outside my window. We spent the rest of the evening wrapped up in each other, painting and laughing, and for the first time, I felt complete. There was no doubt about it, we were more than just friends now. We were two souls intertwining, ready to embrace every hue of love that lay ahead. In the days that followed, our relationship unfurled like the petals of the flowers we had planted together, blooming in every possible way. One evening, as the setting sun painted the sky in shades of pink and orange, we sat in front of my window with our plants. I turned to Mia, who was absent-mindedly playing with her hair, and said, "You know, I think we should adopt a third cat." "Third? You're insane," she laughed, leaning into me. "Why not? Three's a magic number." "Okay, but only if we can name her Mittens a classic." "Deal. But only if you promise to keep Princess Petal alive," I teased. As we sat in the waning light, I felt certain of two things: my heart was hers, and together, we would face whatever came next, absorbing every color life threw our way. As the summer sun began to set later each evening, our lives flourished in ways I had never imagined. Mia and I settled into a rhythm, a shared routine laced with exploration, creativity, and laughter. Our tiny apartment became a sanctuary, filled with art supplies, plants, and a growing collection of quirky trinkets we picked up during our adventures around New Orleans. We often found our afternoons blending into a haze of painting, music, and baking. One of our favorite ways to unwind was to throw together a spontaneous batch of cookies or brownies, filling the air with the sweet scent of chocolate, which quickly became our shared secret indulgence. It seemed that every inch of our lives intertwined more deeply, each experience strengthening the connection we had forged. One evening, as we lounged on the couch with a plate of warm, gooey cookies, I marveled at how far we had come since that fateful art class. "Mia, can you believe all this?" I gestured around the room, where our original paintings hung beside the vibrant versions of ourselves that adorned the walls. She smiled, softly chewing the edge of her cookie. "It feels kind of surreal. Like a dream that just keeps getting better." Her eyes sparkled with delight, and my heart raced at the sight of it. "No, seriously," I continued, my voice barely above a whisper. "It's like we've created our own little world here." "And I wouldn't have it any other way," Mia replied, leaning closer. "I feel free with you. Like I can be totally myself." "Same. You make it feel okay to be me, too," I confessed, my heart swelling. Just then, there was an unexpected knock at our door. We exchanged curious glances before I reluctantly stood and swung the door open, revealing Charlotte, her expression a mix of determination and unease. "Ah, hey, Sam," she stammered, her haughty demeanor replaced by something softer. "Charlotte. What are you doing here?" I was surprised but braced myself for whatever came next. "I need to talk to you," she said, her voice lower than usual. Behind her, I could see a few of our classmates milling about in the hallway. Mia stood up beside me, a protective sense radiating from her. "Is everything okay?" Charlotte shifted nervously, glancing back at her friends before returning her gaze to me. "Not really. I was kind of a jerk at first, and, well, I came to apologize. I was wrong about a lot of things, about you too." My initial instinct was to dismiss her, to remind her of the nasty comments she used to toss around carelessly. But something in her eyes told me she was sincere. "Why now?" I asked, crossing my arms. Charlotte took a deep breath, swiping a hand across her forehead. "Because I've been thinking about how awful I was. I don't know, maybe it's because I just want to change. Seeing you two together, there's something beautiful about it. I pushed you away, and I regret that." I exchanged a look with Mia, who raised an eyebrow, indicating I should maybe hear her out. "All right, let's say I accept your apology," I conceded cautiously. "What happens next?" "I want to start fresh. I want to be friends." "You guys, you both inspire me," Charlotte admitted, her voice shaking slightly. Mia, ever the voice of reason, stepped forward. "If you really mean that, you'll have to show us, Charlotte. It's not enough to just say it." Charlotte nodded earnestly. "I get it. Give me a chance to prove that I'm not that person anymore. No more insults, no more judgment. I want to learn." I sighed, considering her request. "Okay. But this is a clean slate, Charlotte. If you mess up again, we're done." "I promise," she said, sincerity pouring from her every word. Thus began an unexpected chapter of my life, a reluctant friendship blooming out of previously strained animosity. It was an adjustment for all three of us, but Charlotte surprisingly worked hard at it. She joined us for game nights, art sessions, even our weekend market trips. Over time, I watched as her narcissism faded and genuine curiosity about our lives took center stage. The summer light faded into long, slow evenings, and September brought changes to our world. As we entered our second semester of art school, classes began to shift in focus. We were challenged to push our creativity in new ways, experimenting with different mediums and styles. Mia embraced everything with a fervor that fueled me. One particularly chaotic afternoon, we decided to collaborate on a piece for our final project. We spread a large canvas on the floor, surrounding ourselves with an array of paint bottles, brushes, and markers. "Okay, how about we do a mural to depict our journey? I suggested, feeling the rush of excitement at the idea. You mean, starting from our first day up to now? I love it. Mia chimed in, grinning widely. Exactly. And we can add all those inside jokes and little moments that matter, I continued, the vision becoming tangible in my mind. We laughed and painted, our fingers sticky with paint, as we let our creativity collide. Each brushstroke became a representation of our memories, filled with color and movement, echoing our friendship and love. Hours later, as the sun dipped low in the sky, we stood back to take in our work. Mia's strokes were bold, bright swirls of energy, while I added my touch of soft, intricate lines that bound everything together. The mural wasn't just a collection of colors, it was a timeline of our blossoming lives intertwined. Look at that, Mia said, her voice overflowing with pride. It's us. And it tells our story, I added, beaming at how perfectly it captured our lives. As we stepped back, Charlotte entered with a surprised look on her face. Wow, this is incredible, she said, genuinely impressed. You two are something else. Thanks. Mia replied. It's a work in progress. Mind if I help with the finishing touches? Charlotte asked, hope lining her tone. Mia and I exchanged a glance before agreeing. Of course, we chorused, and soon Charlotte was dipping her brushes into vibrant colors, contributing to the artwork that defined our journey. With laughter and banter flowing, the three of us poured hours into our collaboration, discovering a new bond in the process, one that painted our lives in a different light. As we finished, I felt a warm swell in my chest. It was a reminder that friendships could evolve, that people could change, and perhaps even the ones we viewed as opponents could turn into allies. On the night of our art showcase, the energy felt electric. Students and faculty gathered to view our projects, and I felt a nervous thrill. As we unveiled our mural, it brought claps and cheers from the crowd. This is stunning, an incredible reflection of growth, the art department chair remarked, her eyes twinkling with admiration. Mia's hand slipped into mine, making the moment feel even more meaningful. Look what we created together, she whispered, her voice filled with wonder. I couldn't have done it without you, I replied, squeezing her hand tightly. As we celebrated our successes that night, I felt utter gratitude for the beautiful journey we shared. No longer just individuals pursuing art, we had transformed into a tight-knit group, a bright splash of color against the backdrop of a world that felt infinitely more vibrant with love, acceptance, and friendship backing us. And there, under the twinkling lights and surrounded by laughter, I knew that Mia and I, with Charlotte by our side, were ready to embrace whatever colors life painted next. Together. As the night of the showcase winded down, the atmosphere buzzed with energy. Laughter echoed off the walls, and the faint sounds of jazz floated in from nearby galleries. Surrounded by our friends and fellow students, it was clear that we had all built a little family, woven together through shared creativity and determination. Later that evening, as we cleaned up the remnants of our celebration, cups, brushes, and leftover snacks, I couldn't help but feel a sense of fulfillment. My heart brimmed with gratitude, witnessing how far we had all come, not just as artists but as individuals. When the last of the students trickled out of the gallery, Mia and I found ourselves underneath the bistro lights that adorned our makeshift outdoor hangout spot. The night sky twinkled with stars, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves nearby. I glanced at Mia, who was still glowing from the night's success. Look what we've built, I said softly, gesturing to the mural, and the laughter still echoing in the distance. I've never felt more at home, Mia replied, her eyes searching mine. You've made me feel alive, Sam. I never want this to end. A stillness settled between us, and I leaned closer, brushing my lips against hers softly. It was a simple kiss, one filled with promise and the depth of our shared experiences. In that moment, everything felt perfect, like the world had realigned just for us. As we pulled away, Mia smiled, a knowing look in her eyes. You know, I've been thinking about what comes next. With us. Really? I asked, excitement bubbling forth. What about it? I want to travel. I want to see the world and for us to create art together everywhere. Just us and maybe a couple of cats." She laughed softly. "Cats and art, sounds like the dream," I replied, picturing us exploring distant cities, discovering new cultures, and capturing the essence of our experiences on canvas. Together, we shared visions of coffee shops in Paris, street markets in Barcelona, and art studios in Tokyo. Each place we dreamed about unfolded like pages of an unfinished book waiting for our adventures to ink the words. "I don't just want to travel, though," she added, her expression turning serious. "I want to be with you, Sam. I want to build a life together." "I want that too," I confessed, my heart racing with the weight of her words. "You make everything feel possible." We stood together, gazing at the mural that had become a symbol of our journey, a tapestry of laughter and challenges, bursting with every color imaginable. And in that moment, it wasn't just the art we had created that filled my heart, it was the life we were building, piece by piece. As I pulled her in for another embrace, my affection enveloped us like the cool night air, and I couldn't help but think about how lucky we were. Love and friendship had intertwined in ways I never anticipated, nurturing clarity and belonging. The weeks that followed brimmed with anticipation and new horizons. Mia and I began making plans, not just for our next art projects but for travel, for the future, for life together. We talked about art exhibitions we would hold, markets we would visit, and the pets we'd adopt. Charlotte's presence also became a foundation for a newfound friendship. She joined us on our adventures and offered her support whenever we needed it. The three of us together created something unexpected, a vibrant network of love and creativity that embraced everyone around us. Eventually, as summer melted into fall, conversations around our future refined into concrete plans. Mia and I decided on a road trip across the country, a journey to discover hidden gems, art communities, and new experiences that would deepen our bond further. Along the way, we documented our travels through sketches, journals, and photographs, chronicling every moment, every laugh, and all the feelings that blossomed. When we finally set off on our journey, our hearts were lighter than air. With the wind whipping through our hair, the open road stretched ahead of us like a canvas waiting for us to paint our unique story. As we parked on a high cliff overlooking the ocean one night, the sun setting in a fiery explosion of color, Mia held my hand tighter. Together we breathed in the salty air, feeling like we were at the edge of the world. "You know what?" Mia said, her voice barely above a whisper. "What?" I replied, looking over at her. "This is just the beginning." "Yeah," I agreed, squeezing her hand. "The beginning of everything." And with our hearts intertwined, we ventured forward, ready to embrace all the colors the world had to offer, excited for the adventures still to come. Together we would create a masterpiece of our lives, filled with love, laughter, and endless possibilities. The finale of our story would not come with an ending but a continuation, a promise of many more vibrant chapters to unfold. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the evening sky with hues of orange, pink, and purple, I glanced over at Mia, who was gazing out at the setting sun, and whispered softly, "Let's keep painting our journey." "Forever," she said, her eyes shining like the stars beginning to sprinkle the sky. And in that timeless moment, the world felt alive, our love brighter than the sun.